Something just changed in Nigeria's political space, and many people are not paying attention yet. Babachir Lawal has spoken. And when a man like him speaks, it is not noise. It is strategy. He is not just any politician. He is a former secretary to the government of the Federation. He has been inside the system. He understands how power moves, how decisions are made, and how elections are really won. When someone like that gives political advice, people who are serious about politics listen carefully. This time, his message is direct and very clear. He believes the opposition must be careful about the decisions they are making ahead of the 2027 election. According to him, the biggest mistake the opposition can make is ignoring political balance in Nigeria. He specifically talked about Atiku Abubakar and the presidential ticket of the ADC. His position is not based on hate, and it is not based on personal issues. He made it clear that he is not against anyone contesting. But he believes the right thing must be done if the opposition truly wants to have a strong chance against the current government. His main argument is simple. Nigeria is currently led by a southern president. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is from the southwest, and he is the incumbent president. In Nigerian politics, there is always an informal understanding about power rotation between the north and the south. This is not written in the constitution, but it is something political parties and leaders often consider to maintain balance and fairness in the country. Tinubu's tenure represents the turn of the south, and many people believe the south should complete its full turn before power returns to the north. This is where Babachir Lawal's argument is coming from. He believes that if the opposition presents a northern candidate against Tinubu in 2027, it may weaken their chances because many voters may feel the South has not completed its turn. This is why he suggested that the ADC should zone its presidential ticket to the South. He believes this decision alone could make the election more competitive and more balanced. In his view, this is not about supporting one person or fighting another person. It is about making a smart political decision that can improve the chances of the opposition. What makes his statement more interesting is that Babachir Lawal himself is a northerner. Many people would expect him to support a northern candidate automatically. But instead, he is advising that the presidential ticket should go to the south. This shows that his position is more about political strategy than regional loyalty. In the last presidential election, he supported Peter Obi, who is from the south. That decision surprised many people at the time because Lawal is from the northeast and is also a prominent Christian voice from that region. His support for Obi showed that he was willing to look beyond region and focus on what he believed was the best political direction at that time. Now, ahead of 2027, he appears to be taking a similar position again. He is not attacking Atiku. He is not campaigning against anyone directly. Instead, he is warning the opposition not to repeat avoidable mistakes that could cost them the election before the campaign even fully begins. His message is more like political advice than political attack. He is saying that elections in Nigeria are not only about popularity, big names, or long political experience. Elections are also about timing, balance, strategy, and public perception. If the opposition ignores these factors, they may enter the election already at a disadvantage. This is why his statement is important. It is not just another political comment that will disappear after a few days. It is part of a bigger conversation about power rotation, opposition strategy, and how the 2027 election may be shaped long before Nigerians even go to the polls. The conversation is now moving beyond just one statement. It is slowly becoming a serious political discussion about strategy, zoning, and the future of the opposition ahead of the 2027 election. What Babachir Lawal said is not just about one candidate stepping aside. It is about how the opposition plans to position itself against an incumbent president who already has the advantage of power, structure, and visibility. In Nigerian politics, defeating an incumbent president is never easy. The incumbent already controls the government structure, has loyal supporters in many places, and has the advantage of being seen as the leader in charge. This means the opposition cannot afford to enter the election divided or confused about its direction. They must be coordinated, strategic, and very careful with their decisions. This is where the issue of zoning becomes very important again. Zoning is not a law, but it is a strong political tradition in Nigeria. Many political parties use zoning to balance power between the north and the south, and sometimes between different regions. The idea is to make every part of the country feel included in leadership and decision-making. When this balance is ignored, it can create political tension and reduce support from some regions. Babachir Lawal's suggestion is based on this political reality. He believes that since the current president is from the south and the south has not completed what many people see as its turn, the opposition should also present a southern candidate. According to this line of thinking, the election would then be about performance, policies, and leadership ability, not about region versus region. If the opposition presents a northern candidate against a southern incumbent, the election conversation may quickly turn into a regional argument instead of a performance argument. That situation may favor the incumbent because some voters may choose to support their region instead of focusing on national issues. This is one of the political risks Lawal appears to be warning about. Another important part of this discussion is unity within the opposition. In previous elections, one of the biggest problems opposition parties faced was division. Too many strong candidates, too many different parties, and too many separate campaigns often weaken the overall challenge against the ruling party. When opposition votes are divided among multiple strong candidates, the ruling party usually benefits from that division. This is why some political observers believe that the opposition must not only choose the right candidate but must also work together under a strong coalition. A divided opposition will struggle, no matter how popular individual candidates may be. Unity, strategy, and timing are often more important than popularity alone in politics. There is also the issue of political perception. Elections are not only about what is true, they are also about what people believe is fair and balanced. If many voters believe that power should remain in the South for a certain period, presenting a northern candidate too early may create the perception that the opposition is ignoring the balance that many Nigerians expect. Politics is heavily influenced by perception, and perception can decide elections. Babachir Lawal's position therefore appears to be more strategic than personal. He is looking at the political map, the regional balance, the incumbent advantage, and the history of Nigerian elections. From that perspective, he believes the opposition must make a decision that will give them the strongest possible position before the election even begins. This discussion is also indirectly putting pressure on opposition leaders to start thinking early about cooperation, alliances, and long-term planning instead of waiting until the election season is very close. Early planning often gives political parties more time to build support, form alliances, and present a clear message to voters. As 2027 approaches, conversations like this will become more frequent and more intense. Different politicians, analysts, and party members will continue to debate zoning, candidate selection, and coalition building. These discussions may quietly determine the direction of the election long before campaign posters, rallies, and television debates begin. What is happening now is not yet a campaign, but it is already politics. Decisions that look small today may become very important tomorrow. Statements that look like simple advice today may later be seen as early political strategy. And this is why comments like the one made by Babachir Lawal are being discussed seriously in political circles. This is how elections are often decided long before the actual voting day. Not at rallies. Not on television. Not on social media. But in quiet meetings, private discussions, and early warnings like this one. The opposition now faces a serious decision. Not just about who wants to run, but about who should run. There is a big difference between the two. Politics is not only about ambition. It is about timing, agreement, and understanding the mood of the country. If too many people want the same position at the wrong time, they may all lose together. That is why voices like Babachir Lawal are speaking now, not later. Because when the election gets close, emotions become high, and nobody wants to step down. But early enough, decisions can still be made calmly, strategically, and with the bigger picture in mind. The political pressure will continue to grow as 2027 gets closer. What started as a simple comment is slowly turning into a serious political conversation across different parties and regions. Leaders are watching. Party members are listening. Supporters are already choosing sides quietly. The main issue now is not just who wants to run for president. The real issue is who gives the opposition the best chance to actually win. Because there is a big difference between contesting an election and winning an election. Many politicians can contest. Very few can win, especially against a sitting president. This is why the statement from Babachir Lawal is being taken seriously in political circles. He understands how government works. He understands how elections are planned. And he understands that strategy often decides the winner before campaigns even begin. Right now, the biggest challenge for the opposition is not only the ruling party. Their biggest challenge could actually be themselves. If they fail to agree on zoning, fail to agree on a candidate, and fail to work together, they may enter the election divided. And a divided opposition is usually an easy victory for the party in power. This is where the names of people like Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi continue to appear in political discussions. Both men have strong supporters. Both men have political structures. Both men have experience in national elections. But Nigerian elections are not only about strong candidates. They are about alliances, regions, timing, and public perception. If the opposition presents multiple strong candidates under different parties, they may split their votes again. And if that happens, the person in power benefits the most. This is why some politicians are already talking about coalition, agreement, and compromise. Politics often requires people to step back so that a bigger goal can be achieved. But stepping back in politics is very difficult because ambition is powerful. Everyone believes they are the best candidate. Everyone believes it is their turn. Everyone believes they have supporters who will not forgive them if they step down. This is how opposition parties sometimes lose elections they could have won. While they are arguing among themselves, the ruling party is planning, organizing, and strengthening its structure quietly. And we cannot forget that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not a new politician. He is a very experienced political strategist who understands coalition building, party structure, and long-term planning. Anyone who wants to defeat an experienced incumbent must also be very strategic, very united, and very careful with decisions. This brings the conversation back to zoning again. If the opposition decides to zone the presidential ticket to the south under the African Democratic Congress or any coalition platform, it may change the political equation completely. The election will then become a contest between two southern candidates, and the focus may shift to performance, economy, security, and governance. But if the election becomes north versus south, then the discussion may change completely, and voting patterns may follow regional lines again. These are the political calculations that leaders are quietly discussing now. The public may see speeches and interviews later, but the real decisions are usually made long before campaign season starts. Meetings will continue. Alliances will be discussed. Promises will be made. Negotiations will happen quietly. By the time Nigerians start seeing campaign posters everywhere, many major decisions would have already been made behind closed doors. This is why statements like the one made by Babachir Lawal are very important. They are early signals. They show the direction some political leaders are already thinking. As 2027 moves closer, more politicians will speak. More alliances may form. Some people may step down. Some people may change parties. Some people who are quiet now may become very important later. Nigerian politics can change very quickly. But one thing is always constant. Strategy, unity, and timing usually decide who wins. Not noise. Not social media. Not rallies. Strategy. Unity. Timing. And right now, the political game for 2027 has already quietly started. The next few months will be very important for the opposition. Not because the election is close, but because decisions will start happening quietly. Meetings will increase. Phone calls will increase. Private agreements will start forming. Some politicians will pretend nothing is happening. But behind the scenes, plans will already be on the table. The biggest question is simple. Will the opposition work together? Or will everyone try to become president alone? That single decision may decide everything in 2027. Because if they unite, the election will be very competitive. If they divide, the result may be predictable before the first vote is counted. This is why early warnings like this matter. Politics is not only about who is popular today. It is about who makes the smartest decisions before tomorrow.